Rice Fame Group supports the legacies of HBCUs. This is Lacey L. Rice Jr. of Rice Fame Group, welcoming you to Chat with HBCU Champions, Season 3, Episode 5, featuring head coach Andrew Chatmon of Alabama State University Bowling. His Hornets won the SWAC Conference Championship this year. Congratulations, Coach, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Well, Coach, you're no stranger to Chat with HBCU Champions. We had you here, I believe it was our first year. Yes, and sir. I'm glad to see you here again.
Yes, sir. We need to make this a habit. We need to make this a yearly thing. We want to keep this going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, for those who are not familiar with you, can you tell us a bit about yourself, about your background? Because I personally know you have an interesting background that would not have suggested bowling to me. But can you talk about your background, especially athletically, even as a player?
All right. So I actually went to Alabama State, played baseball here under the legend Larry Watkins. I was the first person that he ever signed when he became head coach. 81 to 85, had a mediocre baseball career. Could have been better, could have been worse. Originally from Baltimore, Maryland, but I was an Army brat, so I've lived in Philadelphia, Central America, Atlanta, New Virginia, North Carolina. So I've been a little bit of everywhere. Been coaching bowling here at Alabama State 16 years now. Been blessed to be able to play ball here, graduate from here, and now been coaching here for a while. So I am truly at home.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out how baseball and bowling correlates.
Well, my parents bowled, so I was one of those bowling alley rugrats. The parents go bowl, and back then kids just ran around the bowling alley, and then they had the little daycare or something like that where you just go in a room and play while the kids are. So that's what I was. I was a bowling alley rugrat.
Okay, and so did your parent retire from the military?
Yeah, my father retired military. My mother was civil service. She retired civil service.
Oh, okay. So primarily, you always had access to a bowling alley.
Oh yeah, every military base has a bowling alley. Everyone does. I mean, that's some way that they can keep people on the base as much as possible.
Right. And being from a military town myself, I am well aware of that, and have had friends who worked in the bowling alley. We had bowling alleys here in Fort Knox.
Okay.
And I think they are down to just one now, but yeah, that was one of the main activities back in the day. And like you said, there was a way to keep folk on base.
Yep. Something for kids to do every Saturday morning.
Right. Okay. Well, please tell us about your team. Who were some of your major players this year, and what were some of their accomplishments?
Well, my leadoff bowler, Lyric Osteen from Southfield, Michigan, she actually was bowler of the year for the SWAC this year. The announcer in the SWAC championship called her the silent assassin. And so she was consistent the whole year long. She's our team leader, our captain, and she did a great job for us. My second was Emily Price. Emily graduated, just finished her degree in forensic chemistry from Alabama State. And so she's headed home with graduation, and she was steady. We could count on Emily to make some good shots and close some frames. My number 3 was a freshman from Ohio named Peyton Hartgrove.
Mhm.
Um, Peyton comes in with a lot of energy and extremely a good amount of knowledge and throwing the ball really well. She made all tournament a few times this year, and we're looking for big things from her. Number 4 was Alana Degree from New Orleans, a lefty, and she did a great job for us this year. Yeah, she was rock steady and setting Savannah Razor. Of course, everybody knows Savannah. Savannah was Bowler of the Year last year and tournament MVP last year. So Savannah, and she was tournament MVP this year. So Savannah did a great job for us. Off the bench, we had Amaya Wynn and Alex Stewart, and they came in clutch situations when we needed them.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like your ladies were just destined to win the conference championship this year because of their talent and coaching. And so I know it's great to have a loaded team like that.
Oh, it definitely takes a little bit of the pressure off when you've got that much talent. I kind of just have to stay out of the way sometimes.
Okay. All right. Um yeah, you mentioned some things and just to talk about collegiate bowling. I know there are two, I guess, two major organizations, and as was explained to me last year, on the NCAA side, it's just NCAA. There's no division.
Right. Well, they have divisions 1, 2, and 3, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not separated in by competition. So Division 3 is going to be in the same tournament with Division 1, um, and it doesn't matter anything. We all compete at that national level. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but then when they do the polls and stuff, they'll have a Division 2 and a Division 3 in the polls. But the main poll is that number 1, that Division 1 poll, and it doesn't matter.
Okay. 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 So now I have a better understanding of how that works.
Yeah, we're competing against Vanderbilt and Sam Houston and McKendree and Arkansas State, on week in and week out. So you better bring your A game.
Right. And I know, like on the NAIA side, because I don't believe, and I could be wrong, I don't believe they have a championship in bowling.
Oh, they
So,
do.
oh, they do now.
Yeah, the USBC side. Yeah, they have a championship, but the difference is with them is they may have 4 or 5 teams: an A team, a B team, a C team, a D team, and
Mm-hmm.
the rules over there are pretty much almost like not like they can gamble, they can win
Mm-hmm.
money. Where on the NCAA side, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because like when I was with the NAIA, they all competed in that separate or in that other organization.
The
It
USBC,
wasn't. Yeah, yeah.
or
And so,
ITC, what some of them call it.
okay, okay. And you kind of you said something earlier that caught my attention. When you mentioned an announcer. So at the um at the conference tournament, do they use multiple lanes or do you use the same lanes? How does that work?
For the championship, you're on both teams are on the same pair, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like any other. They'll have a couple of announcers doing play by play.
Mm-hmm.
It's for the championship. Now, in the early on prelims, you might use a couple of different pairs in order to whittle it down to those last 2 teams,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll be on the same pair.
Okay. Now, do you have announcers in the prelims?
No, well,
Okay.
actually they do. They commentate, but it's not as promoted as much. It's not
Okay.
it's not promoted as much.
So they primarily don't broadcast throughout the throughout the building, in other words.
No.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because that I was kind of confused for a second because some of the bowling matches that I've attended, I've seen different. I've seen multiple teams using multiple lanes, and
Mhm.
when you said announcers, like, wow, how does that work? What have
Yeah,
you had?
Bowl TV is who actually did the broadcast and stuff, and it went on ESPNU and ESPN Plus, and then right now it's on YouTube under 2024 SWAC Championship.
Oh,
So
okay,
the whole entire like 3 hours and 20 minutes or something is on YouTube.
okay. So I'll just have to go over to YouTube and check that out.
Yes, sir.
All right, all right. So, tell us about the competition you faced this year, inside and outside of your conference.
The competition is always stiff, both inside the conference and outside the conference. We had a decent year this year. Um, Nobody really beat us. The matches that we did lose, we just made some mistakes, which for me is a good thing because that means can compete at that national elite level.
Mhm.
In the Sam Houston tournament, the Cat Clash, we had 4 top 20 wins down there, which
Mhm.
was promising. It's positive and stuff. So we just gotta um, figure a way to eliminate the little small mistakes, the little small pay a little bit more attention to detail when I'm coaching, so that we can eliminate those mistakes and try and elevate our progress.
Okay. So when you go to these different competitions, is it multiple teams all the time, or do you have one on ones?
Oh no, it's always multiple teams. You only get a certain amount of dates of competition, so you want to go where there are plenty of teams to play, and there'll never be a dual match. That's what you're referring to as a one-on-one, a dual match.
Right.
We've never taken part in that.
Okay. 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 So what were the other teams like in the SWAC?
Everybody is getting better. I mean, with the admin, with the recruiting and stuff like that, every team is improving. So the competition is always stiff. You got to have your
Mhm.
A game.
Mhm. Well, and since I did not ask this earlier, when I asked you to, talk about your background, how many championships have you won since you've been there? I see a
And
bunch of trophies back there.
we've won 3 tournament championships, 2 regular season championships, and a bunch of small regular tournament just like FAMU and Jackson stuff like that. We won
Mhm.
quite a few of those. We won our home tournament quite a few times.
Okay, okay. So when you go to these different meets, are they primarily, especially since they are a multiple team, are they primarily of that caliber that they do award team awards
Yes.
for winning? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
First, second, and third place if there's enough teams, and then an all tournament team and stuff like that, and then a tournament MVP.
Oh, all right, all right. And how many matches throughout the year do you usually go to before your conference championships?
We can get 10 tournaments. There's a minimum and a maximum amount that the NCAA prescribes that you have to do a certain amount to qualify as a sport, and then you're only allowed to have a certain amount of dates of competition.
Okay. And what's the minimum?
The minimum is 8 dates of competition, so it's like 8 tournaments. The maximum is 10.
Oh, okay. So you might as well just go out and get 10.
Absolutely, because you need those 10 because you don't know if you're trying to make it as an at-large or anything like
Mhm.
that. So the more competitions you have, the better off you have a chance of postseason play.
Okay. All right. So that makes a lot of sense. And every year we do these chats, we learn something new. So this is new information that you're sharing with us right now. I hope people are listening to this, especially aspiring collegiate bowlers. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, this is very educational. This is
Well, look,
very
those
educational.
aspiring collegiate bowlers need to worry about two things: their grades and their test scores. Get
Right,
those first, because if your grades are not there, you're not eligible. You can't bowl anyway. So get your
right.
grades right and get your test scores up.
Okay, okay. Well, in talking about that, I'm going to kind of switch gears real quick. Um, how has the transfer transfer portal affected you?
Not at all. It hadn't affected me at all. I've been blessed. Nobody's trying to leave, and I haven't recruited anybody out of the transfer portal yet. So
Okay,
it hasn't affected my program at all.
okay, okay. Now, does NIL affect it at all on your level?
I have not heard of it affecting any bowling programs, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not privy to um, any other programs, what they're doing for their athletes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So, um, can you tell us what type of bowlers you're looking for when you're out recruiting? And can you tell us about any signees that you currently have?
Well, I can't tell you about any signees yet because it doesn't. It can't. I can't talk about them until they're official. But
Okay.
when you're recruiting, I'm looking for grades first and a solid foundation at the line.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like if and what kind of person you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's not oh they're really good. It does it doesn't matter. No, they got to be the right person. They got to fit in. They got to want to be to be better at the sport. They got to want to learn. They got to be a good teammate. They got to do their schoolwork. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's always the priority. That schoolwork. Because if you, like I said, it doesn't matter if you average 250 if you flunking out because you're not eligible.
Right. So, do you bowling coaches have like a list of schools that offer bowling that have bowling programs, so that you can recruit, or do you recruit from like independent programs, it's like clubs and different things like that?
A lot of recruiting is done through the players submitting video or going to showcases. The largest youth tournament in the country is called Junior Gold, and
Mm-hmm.
it's once a year for about 2 weeks in July. And
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get a chance to see a lot of girls and or a lot of student athletes actually, and be able to filter through and try and figure out who you want to try to recruit, and then you follow up.
Okay. Okay. So that's, I guess, quite a bit different than other collegiate sports then.
Yeah, the money for recruiting for a program like bowling is not really there.
Mm-hmm.
There's no in-home visits. There's no, I'm going to watch this kid play at this school or something like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
just the money is just the investment is just not there. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to pick and how we're going to spend the money. So I go to the Junior Gold every year. I get a chance to see about 300 or 400 girls
Mm-hmm.
in a 2 week period.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so, just for those who don't know, the NCAA does not offer or does not sponsor men's bowling.
No,
And
it's a
so,
Title IX gender equity sport. They had to
right.
try to get some gender equity and create some women's sports.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. I mean, which makes a lot of sense. Um, because I know programs that had various sports in the past, and to meet Title IX requirements, they had to cut some sports. I
Yep.
know one of the sports that several schools ended up cutting were things like men's cross country and men's track and field. And so, which it kind of broke my heart because I'm a former track and field coach.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
But you
look,
have to make those,
make
you
you
have to
look
make those
nervous.
numbers.
Yep. When they do start doing that, boy, they talking about cutting sports. You like, uh oh.
Right. But that's great though. Excuse me. And so well, and I've never asked this of any bowling coach. Um, do you offer like a JV team, or does Alabama State have like a club team?
No, sir, they don't.
Okay. Okay. But if somebody wanted to start club, they could start a club team there and then maybe compete in that other organization that you were talking about. Is that
Uh,
correct?
I don't know how that money would work.
Hmm.
I don't know how that money would work. We can compete. Now, see, that's one thing. NCAA can compete
Hmm.
at that USBC side, but
Hmm.
USBC cannot compete on the NCAA side. So
Right.
if we wanted to complete in some club program events, then we
Mhm.
could. And but depending on, I guess, any university, you can do whatever you want if you got the money.
Right. Well, actually, now on the club on with club sports, the university cannot financially support them. So the students who want to play in this sport, they have to do everything. They have to find their own coach. They have to take care of their own travel. They have to book events.
And
They have to do everything.
so I kind of heard something like that. Like a lot of them. I heard that they have to pay to even try out for the team. And
Mm.
so that does make sense. And I guess that's why they allow them to gamble and win money and prize money and stuff like that.
Right. Well, yeah, I would hate to have to spend money to travel somewhere to compete out of my pocket and come away with nothing.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd ask that because I hadn't asked that question before, and I do know. I said when I was with the NAIA, and my conference hosted an event that event did have some club teams competing, and it had regular collegiate teams competing as well. And of course, with that they had men competing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so yeah, so I said I just thought I'd ask that because I hadn't asked that before, and that's once again that's good knowledge to have.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so did you yourself receive any honors this year?
No, sir. No, not at
Okay.
all.
So you win a conference championship, but you don't get the conference coach of the year?
No, that goes to the regular season champion, and that was Southern. They were 16. They were a game ahead of us.
Oh, okay.
It goes to the
Okay.
regular season champion.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I guess that's a little different. I mean, most conferences I'm familiar with, the championship coach usually wins that, but that also makes sense as well.
Yeah,
So,
it's been back and forth with the. I've won it 4 times. Uh,
hmm.
I won it 2 times back when when the coaches used to vote for the coach of
Hmm.
the year, and then I won it 2 times as a conference regular season champion.
Okay. Okay. So, which one do you think is I don't want to say easier, but which one do you prefer? Because I know I came into a conference in a specific sport once before, and the coaches used to vote. But then I started hearing all these different complaints from the coaches, and I ended up having to change it from the voting to whoever won that specific championship.
Okay. The regular season gets you coach of the year, but
Hmm.
the SWAC tournament gets you to the NCAA.
Right.
So that's my focus. Winning the
Okay.
SWAC, winning the SWAC tournament at the end of the season. I don't
Right.
necessarily need to be coach of the year. I want to get my girls more exposure, opportunity to go a little bit further.
Okay. Okay. So now, how often does the regular season champions advance to the NCAA? I mean, they have that at large or anything similar to that on the NCAA side?
No, it would be RPI. The at large are RPI based,
Hmm.
and so it you have to have a lot of big wins, and your RPI has to be way up there to get an at large because the automatic qualifiers go to the 9 conference champions, and then the next 8 after that or 9 after that go to the next to the at large bid.
Let's switch gears once again, and let's talk about Alabama State University
All
down
right.
there in Montgomery, Alabama.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
what are some of the major programs there, and what programs do your athletes tend to take?
Oh man, we have a top-notch premier business department here, which is
Hmm.
where I got my degree in business management. We have the state forensics, our forensics lab, um,
Hmm.
as a major. The state forensics lab is here on campus. We have
Hmm.
at one point, Alabama State was known as the Teachers College. We turned out more teachers than any school in the nation. Um, we have a program in physical therapy where you can actually get your doctorate here, um, all the way through to get you your doctorate in
Hmm.
physical and occupational therapy.
Hmm.
So we've got it's a real well-rounded place to get your degree.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. That sound wow. That sound, and I did not know that it one. I did not know the fact about the teachers' output that you had there.
Oh, absolutely. That's what that literally. I think we're number 3 in the nation now is how many teachers we produce, but we
Wow.
were, like I said, we were number 1 years back.
Okay. 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 Yeah, I'll definitely have to look into that down there, and maybe help promote that program, because I I'm an educator as well.
I'm trying
So
to be. I got my master. I got my master's in sport management. I'm trying. Look, I'm trying to be Professor Chapman now, as well.
right, right. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you at all. And actually, I have one bachelor. I'm sorry, one master's in teaching, and my other master's is in sports administration.
Okay.
So I'm trying to uh, go a little higher as well. So, but yeah, that's terrific. Hearing that an HBCU is doing so well, in one of the main professions that's needed in this country, that's always a great thing to hear. And Alabama State definitely has historical significance, is for African Americans.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. This is
yeah,
where the
it's
civil rights, where the civil rights movement. Actually, some of the first meetings they had were here on campus
right,
in the
right,
basement of Council Hall.
right. And so yeah, so like I said, that's great. And actually, I need to get down there and visit the campus one day. I've driven past it a couple of times, but I just need to just go ahead, pull over, and tour the campus
All right. Yeah,
myself.
come on through. Just let me know you're on the way, and I'll have you set up and ready to roll.
All right, all right. There's a lot of I have quite a few friends from Alabama State, and actually, the funny thing is, this summer I met some more Alabama State alumni when I was at the Muhammad Ali Center in Louisville. They were in town visiting a relative, and we started talking, and they were from Alabama State. They knew a couple of people who I knew.
We get around. We got everybody wants where this, as they say, this is where history is made.
Right, right. Okay, okay. And and just Montgomery as a whole, that's just definitely one place I think that all of us probably need to visit. And I said I need to just go ahead and take the time out. Besides people at the university, I do have some other friends down there and relatives.
Right.
So yeah, that might be something, Lord willing, I might end up doing this year or hopefully by next year.
Okay.
I also, not to get off the subject, I also need to take a trip down there to the pier and see.
The riverboat. And throw your hat in the air.
Oh man.
Come down here and get you a folding chair.
Yeah, that was unique and but hey, I was proud that our folk didn't fold. So
Yes, sir.
because you can't just let stuff happen.
No.
You can't just let stuff happen.
At some point you got to stand up.
Right, right, right. Um Now as far as support, what type of support do you get, like from the institution, the department, and then from the fans?
Oh, we got a tremendous amount of support, starting with President Dr. Ross, Quentin
Mm-hmm.
Ross. He's actually an Alabama State graduate. I've been knowing him for about 35 years. Since he was a student right after me. He fully supports the program. Dr. Cable and Cyrus Russ, Dr. Lava, they put us in a position to be successful. They find out what we need, aid us in everything that we need to be able to be successful and put some winning programs. Our tennis team just won. The men's and women's tennis teams just won the SWAC championship. They came back yesterday. Their coach, Anook Christians, actually was a student here with me. We were student athletes. We were student athletes together, as was Coach Freeman, the women's basketball coach, Frida, former coach Lewis Jackson. All of us were student athletes here together.
Okay.
I think the women's golf team won the SWAC championship about a couple weeks ago. So they're putting us in a position to be successful and to win these championships. We have a top-notch baseball and softball program. Our football program with Eddie Robinson is making strides. The basketball program with Coach Medlock. So everybody, the volleyball program with Coach White, everybody here is in a position to be successful.
Okay. And not to get off from bowling too far, but is that the same Eddie Robinson who played there at Alabama State?
Yep, played here and played in the NFL.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Actually, as a teen, he was one of my favorite players.
Oh yeah, definitely. He a good guy too. That's the thing. He a real good guy. I've been knowing him about 35 years. All of us, when we say welcome home, this is a family, we mean that. All of us, most of us went to school here, graduated, played, were student athletes, and we're back. And nobody really leaves Alabama State if they went to school here.
Right. Okay. And I was mistaken. I said as a teen, I think I was a young man watching him on television, because if I'm not mistaken, he was there around the same time as Steve McNair over at Alcorn.
Yeah.
But like I said, I do remember watching him, was always in awe of, watching him out there on defense, just wrecking havoc on the.
Without a doubt. He was leveling that boom.
Oh yeah. And I think he played for the Oilers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So wow, that's great. That that your institution is so open to bringing back its alumni to head the programs.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
our fan support is tremendous as well. When we have
mm-hmm,
our home tournament, we have a great turnout. We
mm-hmm,
get a tremendous amount of support, you
mm-hmm,
know, no matter what we're doing, especially like for the bowling team, we do a lot of fundraising. So
mm-hmm.
we get our fans, our local fans and stuff, and even from all over the country, whatever fundraisers we do, they participate.
Okay, okay. That you can't beat that because everybody doesn't get that amount of support, even for the revenue sports. A lot of programs don't get that type of support.
The Alabama State fans and alumni and stuff, we
Hmm.
definitely support.
Okay, okay. Now, when you go to these championships, do they travel as well, or is that
Yeah,
not something that you usually see?
the fans may not, but my
Hmm.
parents of my student athletes, oh yeah, a tremendous look. They ride with us. What hotels we staying at? Where are we going to eat? Everything. That my parents travel. They roll.
Right.
Wherever we going, they going.
Okay. So your program is, I guess, in a word, more like a family affair.
It is. It is. See, most people think a team is the coach and the players, but with us, the team is the coach, the players, and the parents. Everybody got to be on the same page, and
Hmm.
because we're all pushing for the same exact thing to get
Hmm.
the young ladies graduated, have them ready for school, and win some championships.
Okay. Well, since we kind of mentioned that, um, and I can't remember if I asked you this the first time that you were here. How do you deal with the mental health aspect? As a coach, with coaching itself, and then also with the mental struggles that your athletes might have.
We have an excellent counseling center on campus, and I encourage because our season is starts in October 1st and goes through middle of April, so we're almost year round, and
Mm-hmm,
it's stressful. So I
mm-hmm,
encourage the young ladies to go to the counseling center, and sometimes they just want to get some stuff off their chest.
mm-hmm,
You want to keep that pressure from building up. So
mm-hmm.
we have an extremely good counseling center.
Okay, and that's terrific because I know all schools don't have that,
Where
and
Alabama State does. We
yeah,
definitely offer counseling.
yeah. And so is that something that you might use as far as recruiting as well to let them know about resources like that?
Oh, absolutely. Because you got to feel like when they first get here, they're going to be homesick. So
Hmm.
they need to be able to express that. If they can't talk, they can't see their family and stuff if they're from a good ways away. So they need to be able to express that and trying to find ways to deal with it. So I'm not a professional, so I don't pretend to try to advise them. I can talk to them up to a certain extent, but if they need
Hmm.
some professional help, we have that available for them. Um, that day where they're not out there by themselves.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. That's terrific to hear because I just saw that report. I think it came out a few weeks ago that talked about um I guess the rate of suicides or rate of suicide attempts by student athletes nationally, and how it's disproportionate compared to the general student body. And I personally know quite a few athletes who attempted, and it really it breaks my heart whenever I talk to them, and um, at least the ones who have survived, because quite a few, there are a few who, for lack of a better word, succeeded in that, and that's the most heartbreaking part because the common theme I always hear from the ones who survive, I didn't have anybody to talk to.
Yeah,
There's
we have.
one. Mhm,
They educate the staff. We
mhm,
actually have classes and stuff like that on how to recognize and what the process and the procedures are supposed to be.
mhm,
If we recognize or if we think something may be going on with the student athlete or something like that. So
mhm.
um, they don't want to take the chance of letting anybody slip through the cracks.
Right, right, right. That's just another reason to choose Alabama State.
Absolutely, because we
Yeah,
care.
right, right. Well, Coach, tell us about the people who influence you as a coach, who especially who help steer you towards coaching bowling.
Um, Actually, when I first started my first year, I was mentored a little bit by the coach from Alabama A&M, Jeff McCorby, who owns
Mhm.
McCorby's Pro Shop. So I actually work for it now in the evenings. he uh he was teaching me things as a coach while we
Mhm,
were competing against each other. He's like, look, you want to do this, you want to do that. Back then he had a nationally acclaimed program as well.
mhm,
I learned stuff from a Coach Powell that used to be at Texas Southern before he passed away. He taught me about how to recruit and what to look for.
mhm,
I learned from Bill Straub, who won at Nebraska, who won 7 national championships. And he was like, he said, I didn't teach these girls how to be this good. It's all about the recruiting at this level.
mhm,
About 10, 12 years ago, I spent some time with the coach from Vanderbilt right after he won the national championship to
mhm,
try and find a way to better position my program.
mhm,
So it's you work together, you talk, you learn. Um, there's a goal coach named Ron Hatfield and another one named Steve Padilla and
mhm,
Lou Marquez. I pick their brains every time I'm around them to see if
mhm.
there's anything that I can learn to try and be a better coach.
Right. And I've always been a proponent of coaching education. And, I'm always glad to hear when a coach is trying to get better instead of just sitting on his or her laurels, because none of us know everything.
Oh no, without a doubt.
Right. I mean, even somebody like a Nick Saban or, excuse me, or, you know, any top level coach, I'm pretty sure that they're always looking at different people, different programs in order to get that additional edge
Oh yeah.
to tweak their teams.
Now I get a lot of stuff. I pay attention to videos and what philosophies from other coaches, like
Hmm.
Gino Auriemma from
Hmm.
Connecticut, Don Staley. I pay attention to a lot of what they say and stuff to figure out different ways to change the thought process.
Right. Right.
So if you're not trying to continuously trying to improve, then
Hmm.
what are you doing?
Hmm. Hmm. Exactly. And I guess Coach Staley is a case in point. What she's done over there in South Carolina. Um, her and I was awestruck with learning about her knowledge of HBCUs. And of course, I was one of the ones who was so happy when she came out in that Cheney shirt
Mm,
last year.
yep.
Because people don't know. They don't know about HBCUs, what HBCUs offer, the HBCU, excuse me, heritage. Um, One of my buddies, GW Sedberry, who's a white man, he's one of the greatest recruiters, or I'm sorry, promoters of HBCUs out there right now. And he started off a TikTok, just visiting HBCUs.
I follow him. I follow him. Look, he came to Alabama State not too long ago.
Hmm. Oh, he'll be back. He'll be back.
Yeah, he's. I mean, and that's all he does is go to different schools and promote them and talk about how good they are and what they can offer.
Exactly. Exactly. And just recently, last week, he had to go off on another white guy who said some racist things about HBCUs and who had that mindset that, well, you can go to white schools now, so why do you need black schools? Well, did you pay attention to the Supreme Court? Did you see what they just did with affirmative action?
Yep.
Are you paying attention to what these state legislators are trying to do with DEIs? So once you get rid of affirmative action, you get rid of DEI. What do you think is going to be like on those white campuses? So like I said, we have people like that who's educating the public about HBCUs, about the history, what HBCUs offer. And I'm always glad when I see that, especially from people who are not part of the HBCU universe.
Right.
And so,
And
yeah.
that's what it's gonna take.
Right. Because actually Cheney, the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame is honoring Cheney this year as trailblazers, which I think is terrific. They were the first NCAA. They went to the first NCAA national championship. I think that's terrific. However, as I've been telling people, the real trailblazers is Kentucky State University, because they won the first national championship under Title IX.
Oh.
And the other trailblazer with them should be Texas Southern, because that's who they beat in the championship. I don't think we've ever had two HBCUs in any national championship competing for the gold.
And see, you educating me now, because I did not know that.
Yeah, that happened back in 1981, and Cheney played in the national championship in 1982. And so, I'll have to make a phone call here this week though to somebody why Kentucky State didn't get a Trailblazer award, and I've already done that with the governing body that they won that championship under, because they just had a Title IX Trailblazer forum, and I'm like, I don't see any women from that team up there on that stage. What's going on? Okay. So if we don't let people know, I guess sometimes, and we don't have advocates, then people just don't know.
Right.
So, absolutely. And that's partly why I do this, so that our programs can get that exposure. And so, of course, from this, I'm hoping that you get more recruits who fit your program.
Absolutely, and I appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. Hey, for an Olympic sport, and so any exposure is good exposure for us.
Right. Well, Coach, as we get ready to close out, this is your time to give credit to others, to give your shout out. So, you shout out whoever you want to right now.
Well, definitely want to shout out the administration for Alabama State, from the president, the chief of staff, the athletic director, Dr. Cable, my supervisor, Deputy AD Russ, Dr. Lavallee, the AD over academics, all of our fans, the people that support us. We're doing a fundraiser right now on our foundation on the website, where we have a customized ASU bowling ball that is off the chain beautiful. And that's one of the fundraisers that we do. So I want to look, hold on, how is that? I want to thank my mama, because she's actually one of the ones that got me started in bowling, and that's been my biggest supporter. So I don't want to go too deep into it, because then I mess around and forget somebody, and I'm gonna be in trouble.
Okay, all right. Well, Coach Chatmon, we definitely want to thank you for participating in this chat.
I appreciate
We
it. Thank you, sir. Thank you
oh
so much.
oh, that's no problem. And we are, definitely going to follow your program, continue following your program to see your developments. And we're still going to be up there cheering that you get that you get the big one,
Yes,
that you
sir.
hold that big trophy.
That's the goal. That's the grind.
Right.
We but you gotta put the work in. You don't get what you want, you get what you work for.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
we gotta keep grinding.
Exactly. Exactly. And we also want to thank you, the viewers and the supporters of Chat with HBCU Champions. Without you, it wouldn't be worth doing this. But we thank you for watching and listening to us. Please go to RICE fame.org for more content. Also, follow our LinkedIn link from that particular website. That will take you to all of our content, including the recorded video from today's chat and the audio podcast. So with that said, thank you once again and have a blessed week.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Now I'm talking about young shakes. I want to represent Jesse James. And this for my city.
Hey, I do it for my city. Dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gone first round for my city. Dog, I ain't never been a chump. And if he thinking I'm a chump, watch him get his head lumped for my city. Dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gone first round for my city. Dog, I ain't never been a chump. And if he thinking I'm a chump, watch him get his head lumped for my city. Cause I feel like I love her so much, like I owe her so much for supplying her touch. I will always respect her, I will never neglect her. Bet you hear her naming like every one of my records. No, I'm not stunting, ain't no future in your frontin', right? Gotta get this money, watch me get it all night. Planet flying top flight, higher than space stations. That's why I gotta grind, cause I need it and I hate waiting.